Well, let's try this again. I don't know that it'll work. If it doesn't work again, then we'll just. I guess we just won't film. We got the gremlins from the Kremlin or something acting out. All right, so we've got that guy done. Let's move over to this dude here and the Jaguar. Welcome back. You welcome back. Freaking internet, man. If it happens again, just and like you're doing something wrong. I said no. I do the same fucking thing every time. I do different shit here. I don't care about that. Gremlins from the Kremlin. All right, we're gonna give this a wash. And I got off to a later start because I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. No, it was actually 2:30 because I had too much caffeine yesterday. I had a cup of coffee. I took coffee with me in the morning, and I had two more Starbucks, and not all at once, but throughout the day. I didn't have a lot to eat yesterday, but I had a lot of coffee, and not enough where I was jittery, but enough that it catches up with you at night. And I went to bed, but then woke up a couple hours later. There we go. Put that in there. So yeah, I don't know what kind of YouTube videos are out there for Gaslands. There might be a ton of people playing games, but we'll add to that, I guess. It's almost like this wash is too dry. Maybe I need to. Maybe we'll need to thin this one. I mean, I thinned the other ones, but okay. The old redneck truck. Ye old redneck truck. It is a Jaguar. What is Mr. Heine? Yeah, there is a reason not to take the cars off the cardboard. Not getting fun. Yeah, I don't know. I've never encountered this kind of issues with, and I don't think it's me getting older. I think there's when people say mold, you think of black mold. You think of something that smells like a British basement. Sorry, but something that smells like a library, right? But not like this isn't dusty. It's not getting on my fingers. But there's particulates that are hurting you, and it's in the sinuses. I don't think it's affecting your lungs. I mean, it may be, but I may need to store them in the garage. You know, it happened with the plastic models, and you know, people just holding on to stuff for too long. That's what it is. I needed to thin this down. Stupid of me. Well, the Ferrari will be just fine. If not, we'll buy another one. They're cheap. I had not remembered that I had thinned this down. I guess I had. Man, this is a lot better. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, at the model show, there were so many models that somebody has, but that so many people had bought, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago that they still had. I mean, there was some old stuff. Old stuff. Like, build that stuff, dude. I mean, I'm only buying a ton of stuff if it's like cheap and not available anymore. Right, yeah, this is what I should have been doing. Damn me. All right, that's what we're looking for. All right, so what happens if I take this one? See if I can fuck this up. We're not fucking this up. This is good. All right. It doesn't need to be that thick. It's got a flat coat on it, so it'll grab all this stuff. Actually, I like the look of this. This is kind of looking like when they brought Chitty Chitty Bang Bang back to life. It's not like it's not going to get weathering or dry brushing on top of it. All right. Cool. Me likey, me likey. The bus, did we do this to the bus already? No. No. The ain't fair bus. I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the base color. That'll get repainted in the back. Just a really light coat. It's only noticeable if we put it next to one that doesn't have that. All right, now that has to dry. All right, so the Ferrari. I'm gonna fill in this back window. I don't even know if it's it doesn't look like it's a window. It actually looks like it's the little slots. You know, like when you look at it from above, it looks solid, but you're actually in the car. If you're in the car, all you see the slots. They don't really obscure your view. Might be one of those things. Well, you know what? We're always gonna see it from above the car because you know we're way up here. So that's gonna be black. I need to do something with the front window, and I don't know what it is yet. But it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not going to affect that. So I'm going to go ahead and black out the black window, and I mean, it may end up being painted red on top of it, but it's not going to be clear through the back window. We need to look like this thing has got, you know, like it's armored some. And then we also need to take the minigun. I think we decided we were going to go with this one because this one is humongous. This one is cool, but a little high tech. And what was the third one? The third one was just a little too junky. You know, if I really wanted to cut these things up with a Dremel, I could cut half of it, put like a fake wall there, and just put this basically in the passenger's position. But I don't want to do that. That's just too much. That's too much work. That's an ask too far. Some little nibs here on the bottom of this 3D print. Well, the engine on the Ferraris in the back are mid-engined. So you could probably put the minigun up front here. You know, not have everything mounted in the roof. The problem with mounting something in the roof is it gives you this idea that it's turreted. You know? Or at least it gives me the idea that it's turreted. And it's not turreted. I don't want every vehicle with a turreted gun. Which is exactly what would happen if you let people design their own vehicles. You have all the same vehicle over and over and over again. You know? It happened when we were doing mechs. A long time ago when we were playing Battletech. Everybody's got 100 tons. And I would have a problem, and other people would have their own mix of it. I always had a problem not using the Enforcer and the Centurion. One's 55 tons, one's 45. And they just go, you know, walk hand in hand, blowing things away. Was it always the right combination of mechs? No. But it made me comfort. It was comforting. You working on that crushed car? Not yet. But when I go and spray something black, yes, we're gonna do this little guy right here. Yep. No, I'm just trying to struggle with the freaking internet disconnecting me from this show. I was actually looking to buy some of the primer, and nobody had it. I decided not to buy another set of tweezers. I just didn't feel like spending $8 on them. Sometimes I just don't feel like spending money. Like, I don't need that. I'd rather buy 8 other Hot Wheels than buy a set of tweezers. Especially if you find out the set of tweezers, I don't like them. All right, looks like there's some supports here. I'm going to prime that in black because it'll probably end up being in red. And I don't know what this thing is on the side. What is this, a Ferrari F? Is this the one that Magnum PI drove? I never watched Magnum PI. Ferrari F40. Ferrari F40. Okay, it does not look like... I don't know what that is on the side, but I'm not going to paint it. And to be honest with you, I prefer Lamborghinis to Ferraris. Whatever, you know. Lamborghinis have better names. Murcielago. The Bat. Or however they say it in Italian. Murcielago. That's how you'd say it in Spanish. Okay, looks like we've got a headliner up here. We'll paint that. And this has little lights here. They're probably not going to be clear, but we'll leave them clear for the time being. The interior of this is almost certainly going to be black. I mean, these things have pretty good detail on the inside. Got the honeycomb on the back here. I mean, I don't know how to make these for this little amount of money. He drove a 308 GTS. Okay. Yeah, you get all those cars from all the TV shows and compete with each other, I guess. Of course, they don't behave like the real car. They're going to behave whatever silliness they have here in this game. Okay, this one's not going to have any windows. I did find them, but they were somewhere they weren't supposed to be. But this is going to have a huge cannon on the back. So if something doesn't need to have windows, it's going to be this thing. It'll knock all its own windows out. Diamond fires. That's a bad combination. How stupid of a redneck are you? Well, there you go. All right, so while that's drying, let's go ahead and do the interiors. Oh, what a fool. We got to paint this. We got to paint this. Or at least prime it. Because I want the body of this in the Ferrari red. That helps tie it in. Like they made some kind of attempt to make it color match them. And I really like doing the color matching part. I was not expecting that. I like doing it because I'm pretty good at it. If I sucked at it, I probably would hate it. Like I hate taking the cars apart. I suck at it. I had to take the ambulance that I took apart. That's metal. That's a metal rivet through a metal body. So I had to grind it down. Oh man, that was loud. Let's put it that way. Now all these sports cars like Ferraris and stuff like that, they're all automatics. Just because nobody can drive a stick shift anymore, and now they dumb them down to automatics. I'm definitely not buying one now. Paddle shifters. I had paddle shifters on my Camry. That's it. I'm definitely not buying a Ferrari. All right, where's this? Where's this little the Vickers? That guy's driving like an arsehole. Give him the Vickers. Yeah, all these cars you grew up with as kids, you think, oh man, they're really fast. You look at them now and like, that Lotus, that James Bond Lotus has like what 140 horsepower or something like that. Something ridiculous. Maybe it's more than that, but it's like it's really low. But I still have to design it as a performance car in the game because just how it should perform. That Pontiac Fire is right. It's a Pontiac Firebird, the one that was on Knight Rider, right? It's a Pontiac Firebird. That's probably not fast and probably handles like crap. Double whammy. So, I'm in this Toy King place, right? And he's got these bins. He's got 3 or 4 bins that are $1 a piece, and all these cars are loose. Some of them brand new, just loose, in like a baggie, like where you guys normally buy your cocaine from. And I'm thinking that's a pain in the ass to put those in there, but you could put them in the baggie, and then you could mix them up, and they're not damaging each other as much. But he's got them all in baggies, and he's got it, and they're not marked that they're $1 a piece. I don't know how he knows that they're $1 a piece and not the $5 bin or the $10 bin. In the $10 bin, there is an old school Matchbox station wagon, just like the station wagon we used to have, like a 1968 Ford Town and Country, I believe is what it was called. Although this one was a Mercury, so it's the same freaking thing, right? In the same color that I'm like, oh man, I may have picked that thing up if it wasn't $10. Like, I don't want to spend $10 on one car. It's not like it's a cool car or anything like, ooh, you got a station wagon from the late 60s, ooh, badass. Nobody's saying that, But I thought it was interesting that he had that. He has some old things to look through here, so. We'll put a dent on this stuff. So after this batch, and I gotta wait for these things to dry, that's when we're gonna build the boom box for this thing. Or the sides to the boom box, because the boom box is here. We just gotta build sides to this. And I don't know how well that's gonna go. I literally have no idea. But other people can build stuff. I feel like I got an edge on those people. So this unfortunately is super thick. I wish I could reduce the thickness of it, but it's not flat. You got this little angle thing here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build, and it's wider than this anyways, I'm going to build sides to it. And we're going to use we're going to use cardstock. No, we're not using cardstock. We're going to use this stuff here. This is easy to work with, but doesn't glue real well. All right, let's get a pencil, because you'd think a pen would work better, but it doesn't. Let's get a pencil, and let's get an X-Acto knife. So yeah, this is the weapon systems of the bus. This is the primary weapon systems of the bus. Is the boom. So I've mentioned before, I don't like rap music. I don't like anything even remotely rap music. Of course, I don't like anything that's country music either. So, but there's a lot of free tunes that are available. So when we do one of these, hey, show me all your hood vehicles, or show me all your redneck vehicles, or whatever, that you can have a tune playing in the background without lyrics. Uh-oh. Está duro. Man, that is a tight fit in there. Because one of the things that we need to do, why is this tight a fit? One of the things that we need to do is, on the front of this is like a headliner, one of them scrolling things, Highway to Hell or something like that. It's not going to say that. It's going to be something hood appropriate, to the projects or something, It's got to be a little shorter than that, but it says Hot Wheels DSC CTR. So, and it's actually 3-dimensional. So I need to sand that smooth because I'm going to paint this black. And put my own yellow lettering on where it's going to. Be part of the humor. easiest thing to put on there is death race. We're headed to the death race. So I'm at the model show and I encounter somebody that I encountered one time I was talking to about Hot Wheels, and he's like, "Oh, you collecting them or are you using them for Gaslands?" Like, he said Gaslands. I'm like, "How you know about Gaslands?" "Oh, I'm thinking about playing." I said, "Man, dude, just come in on my channel, man. I'm on here all the time." So I need to get business cards and make it easy to give my information. I don't know. Maybe there'll be some people that are interested in my ridiculous content. I gotta believe, and I do it because it's fun. It's not that I necessarily want a zillion viewers or something like that. It's not like I'm going to be able to retire on it, but I'd like for people to see the content that we do if it's something that interests them, you know. And I gotta believe that our Gaslands videos would have more views than the DBA videos, and the DBA videos have a fair amount of views. I mean, there's people that have more views than me, but I don't care. Like, it's not like, I just would think that more people would be interested in the Gaslands. DBA is not very, DBA, you got to want to play an abstract game. So there's some people that are like, nah, I want to play a skirmish game. Well, they're never going to watch DBA stuff because it's not down their alley, regardless of whether or not they're into ancients or not. All right, so let's do this. I'm better at doing this freehand. I got a lot of this material. Height wise, I do not really pronounce it that way, but I find it funny. Height. What's your height? The other thing I could do is just dispense with. Nah, I like this thing on it. Bring on the boom. Now when this sits in here, that's about the height that it needs to be. All right, let's cut it down some, but not all the way. Let's say something like this. And I might just glue this now. I could trim the other pieces later. Except there's no glue I have confidence in this. Oh, this has a little part that's sticking out. You're gonna be a problem if I don't take care of you right now. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Let's get the super glue out. Assuming I don't run out of this stuff. I got lots of the thin, and I really dislike the thin. And I'm going to have it stick out just a little bit higher than the side there. So it looks like it's made that way. And there's that little dip. I don't care if there's a dip there. We're going to go straight across it. Because we can trim that size later. All right, let's do the same thing again. This stuff cuts real easy. This is what I figured that the hotel card would cut like. But the hotel card is got metal through the middle of it. It's similar enough for me. Let's cut this down about the same size. Put the graphics towards the inside. Like, I don't want to look at that. It's like an eyesore. The eyesore from Mysore. Yeah, I really want to build. I mean, there's just so many of these things that I want to build. But I got to finish these. I can work on other stuff while the stuff for here is drying. I want to do that Japanese. I want to do the flower in Fubuki. I think I'm gonna buff the top of that. I don't want that whatever that T symbol is or something on it. I think that's just gonna be running interference. Okay. Let that dry a little bit. Oh, that popped off. That's fine. That goes underneath it anyways. All right, we're going to we still have some of this black alive, don't we? Where's it going to? Funky Town. Electric Avenue. I can't stand that Electric Avenue song. Oh my god, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. If you ever go into the business card route, I'm pretty handy with Photoshop if you ever need any help. Okay, cool. Yeah, I got to figure out what, you know. It just makes it easy to put all, the information there, the channel and everything on there. But I tell people search Tony space WW2 space DBA. You'll find me. If you use my first name and my last name, I don't like giving my last name out because unless you're a native Spanish speaker, they always want to put a damn Q or switch the U and the I's order. So I just put Tony WW2 DBA. I think we can do Tony, my first name, and my last name in Gaslands, and it'll come up. And the Gaslands would go have more Gaslands content. We'll have more on there. Even though technically we're not playing Gaslands because, we're not disciples of the, playing it exactly the way it's intended. So the directional die is a hit. We're playing it that way. We don't, you're the next guy down. We don't, and I talked to Mitch about this because I went over there on Friday. I'm like, This whole idea that the next person goes is just it's not set like for card players. Like you're playing. It's your turn, and then you got Sally, and then you got Francine, and then you got Susan. I'll take all the names that don't get used anymore for 1,000, please. Right? So you play, Sally's always going to go behind you. Same thing with this. It's like if you flip, Sally's always going to choose the direction of your card. If Sally flips, Francine's always going to choose. That's too hokey. That's too hokey. You know. And the thing is as your cards go, you always go in that order. So you're always going to be ahead of the next person in order, unless you're the one with the pole position. We're going to do a chip draw. So the pole position guy will go first. And we'll rotate the pole position as it is in the game for now. I think that it makes sense. All right. But then the order of the other guys is going to be chip pulls. And obviously at the end of every gear phase, all the chip pulls go back in. I think that makes it a little bit more unexpected. Put a QR code on your business card so anyone can just open their phone camera and scan to get... Okay. My wife is really good with Canva. So she's like, I'll help you with that. I'm not good at it, but I'm really good at how I like things to look. So like I look at this guy's card, and I'm not going to knock him or anything. I don't like the way his card's designed. There's too much white space on it. There's too many things running interference on his card. So... Oh, these people, by the way, I ran into them. They're from South Carolina. They have, if I was doing World War II stuff, I totally would have bought stuff from them. They had like destroyed buildings, almost like for vignettes and stuff, but you could work them into like parts of buildings. They're HQ72 resin products. Their stuff looked excellent. Excellent. Rebecca and Tony Abbott. $72 resin products. So I totally would have bought, and they had stuff that was like $13 to $16 a thing. So it was like, reasonably priced. And I told her, I said, if I was on my World War II kick, I would have picked things up. But there's no point in getting something like that and then have it sit 2 years. Yeah, she made her own business cards and she made her own thing. She wanted to teach me how to do it. I'm like, no, I'm doing Excel, and I can't be. I'm not gonna get to practice it enough to be good at it, But the QR code's a great idea. That's a great idea because, like, I personally, I'm not a QR guy. Like, I go in there, I don't scan things. I don't scan a menu because it's, I don't speak into my phone for it to search things. I'd rather type. It's not that I can't do it. It's just that's not my first inclination. All right, now me cago en ti. Where'd you go? I got a case of the Velmas. Unless I put these things on. Oh, I'm glad I didn't move. I wouldn't run over it. All right, so this is gonna go here. Should just glue this in place. You're being troublesome. And this is going to go like this. And then we have the sides. Now, it's kind of hard to see if the height's going to work because it's a little too long. So let's cut the two sides off a little bit. Okay, here. This is my first attempt at doing stuff like this. I'm just kind of thinking, all right, how would I go about this? So I kind of like these little puzzles. Plus I'm using, it's relatively forgiving. We need to cut this down a little bit more. I guess I just didn't want to come so close that I lost any flexibility that I had. All right. Okay, this side's good. Now what's going on over here? I see. it's so close to the dimensions of this thing below it that it can't clear it. Well, I can now. All right, so this piece that goes across here can't be the same thickness of this because it won't close on that. All right, cool. That's what we need to know. But we're good in the back here. All right, so we can go ahead and make the piece that's on the back that closes this in. The opportunity to do a color match and also to put something up there that's like ridiculous, like fuck this shit, you know, or something like that. No free rides, homie. I might even do something cool with the front here and put it at an angle. Maybe. But regardless, we're going to have to cut it even on the front and damn near even on the back. All right, so we can go ahead and do that now. All right, so we're going to come over here. Cut that off even. Cut that off even. And damn near even on the back because I want to have a clincher piece on it. So just about the thickness of the card. This ain't your mama's school bus. Oh, this sticks out a little bit further. Oh. All right. All right. If only I could use weld cement with this. Oh, this would be great. But you can't. Ah, carajo. Yeah, it's going to be really close. It's because this it kicks out because of that a squared, c squared, that whole thing. All right, let's try this again. Other people can do this kind of stuff that are a lot less patient than I am. So I can be impatient, but I'm pretty patient about some things. As long as I can see that we're making forward progress, I'm patient. If it looks like, oh, back to square zero again and again and again and again, I'm not your guy. I am not your guy when it comes to that. I need to be able to I need reminders that we're moving in the right direction. Let's scrape the old super glue off. And off of this side. Like painting things. I don't remember the last time I painted something that was frustrated painting it. I feel like I'm in total control when I'm painting things. Might take a while, and it usually does, but that's not part of the problem. And again, if we didn't have to wait for things to dry, we'd just be working on the Ferrari. Okay. That's pretty close. That's real close. And we're going to go ahead and glue these two together. Oh, now they won't fall apart. Okay, well. Okay, we're just going to have to push it down a little bit so that it fits. Because it tapers just a little bit at the bottom. And that looks pretty good. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hot glue gun it down. And then while this thing is in a static position, build the other thing across it. Should be good. It's kicking out a little bit here. Nothing, a little bit of gap fill. Let's fire up my friend, the hot glue gun. One of the things that I had kind of a low impression of how it was going to turn out, and ended up being like one of my favorite things I painted is the garbage truck. The garbage truck was freaking phenomenal. I don't know how it's going to be in the game. It might suck. It doesn't matter. It's there for some good laughs. Oscar, that's the name of the driver. Or Oscar. I'm not going to paint the seats on the inside. They're not visible. But I did prime it in black, so it's not running mental interference when you're looking at it. Yeah, so this is going to have this. The only weapons this has is it has a crew of 8, all with pistols. So within medium range, 360 degrees around, you can get 8d6. That's a lot. That's a lot. But you got to get within medium range. It's got to come and mix it in, and it's got to get within medium range anyways to have the boombox affect anything. And unfortunately, the game doesn't allow me to put a RAM on it because it'd be perfect to have a RAM on it. I could put an exploding RAM, but I just don't think that it goes with the look of it. But for the time being, our next game is probably going to be this coming Friday. I'm probably not going to do it live. It just doesn't seem that a lot of people watch the live stuff. Maybe the feed quality's back. We'll just film it, and then I'll do a minimum of editing with it. I probably need to put the camera on something where I can move it around so you can kind of focus on where the race is while it's happening. I don't know how that's going to go. But there's enough interesting things that happen in the game that it's worth watching. And I was sold on it when the guy all the way in the back that almost got knocked out ended up winning. So that's good. That's encouraging. All right, we'll put a glob of it here, right here. Okay. And we may have to pop this off and re-glue it. So it's even across. I could have just left it how it was and just, hey, there's a boombox in there, but now it's no doubt what that is. And these things will pop. They're not going to all be black. They'll have some, we got to make them look like there's something up there worth looking at. All right, now across the front. We'll have to pop this off and put a little bit further down so that it covers this better. Let's go ahead and just do that now. Garbage truck looked great. I really liked the vehicle with the backhoe on it. I don't like that one so much. And it's not how the vehicle's designed. I think the look of it. It's just, I think the backhoe's up too high, which it needs to be able to do 360. I think it always looks like a Scorpion to me. I think that's the problem I have with it. The color on it is right. The finish on it is right. The idea of the magnet is right. It just, I keep seeing a damn scorpion. And I wasn't expecting that. I'm glad you like it. It's going to stay as it is. It's just, I have to, maybe I need to do some drugs so I don't see scorpions. Don't do LSD while you're playing that vehicle. Does that make any sense? What I'm saying, that I'm happy with it, but I wished it looked another way. I don't know. But that's where it needs to be if you're going to swing 360 degrees. That's going to be some hilarity stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, there are some things to this game that are just, the jokes are going to write themselves, kind of thing. I want that one even with air, and if we have a little bit of a gap there, we're okay. We can fill that. All right, let's. I guess I really like when I'm like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And then you knock it out of the park. And you're like, damn, give me another one, if you know something's going to be awesome and it ends up being awesome, you're like, yeah, well, I told you so. But if it's something like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, and then you end up knocking it out of the park. I heard you say if you didn't like it when you saw a picture, I don't see why you don't like it. It just looks like a scorpion to me. That's all. The side view of it, with the thing up. But that's kind of how it. If you face it forward, it looks like a scorpion. If you face it back, it looks like a scorpion. It's just a scorpion look. It's like a fat scorpion, fat red scorpion. I mean, it's going to stay how it is. And the other armored car, the armored truck, which I got from Mitch, it's in blue. Let me glue this and I'll show it to you. So, yeah, I'm not going to have teams per se in that. Only these teams can use these skills. I think that's very limiting. Because as you can tell, I'm not going to have, 12 vehicles and call it a day. I mean, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot. Okay, we'll have to glue that together. Where's the one that we call penny pincher? Here it is. And it's actually a Matchbox, where the other one's a Hot Wheels. So they're not exactly the same armored car. I like that. So this one's going to have the grabber arm. It's probably going to be in the same location. I just need to put a grabber arm. Maybe I'll put the grabber arm in the middle. But I think I'm going to put it with a magnet. I don't have an arm yet, but I'm probably going to use the front of a lull, if you know what that is. A forklift. Forks or something like that. Well, it took me forever to find that backhoe. I mean, it was way too difficult trying to find a backhoe. You went to stores. I mean, now I know the secret is if it's not a 2025 vehicle, there's no point in even looking at a store. You're not going to find it. They just don't have them. Let's hold this in place for a little bit. They just don't have them. You got to go somewhere that has old stock or a collector's thing. The problem with the collectors is they're going to want, a collection fee. And I don't care that the vehicle's rare. I'm going to we're going to reimagine it. That's probably a good way to call it. We're going to reimagine this. think it grabbed. But what I have no idea, and I've really put no thought into it, is what the hell a monster truck is on. And this is actually a reasonable size monster truck. Usually they're 3 times bigger than this. They're way over the top. That's why I jumped on this thing. This is, I think, probably some off-brand. But that's fine. The red stuff's got to go. We don't have red. It's going to be dark blue. Might even make it for the girls' team. You know, it is called Pussyfoot. I guess a backhoe's better than a side hoe. Yeah, they're so hard to find. I really would like another vehicle called Hobag. I didn't find any Rebel flag decals. I'm not opposed to painting that stuff on there. I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't want it to look like all the graphics be neat, and then when the hand painted stuff looks like, you know, a melted asshole. Stay there, cabron. All right, we're gonna go across this thing. See, by the time I'm done fooling with this thing, see, we already got this dried on it, and we've got some brown, you know, where it looks like it's been like the dirt and stuff has settled. So giving this thing a brown wash makes a big difference. Oh, I went too short. You fucked up, cabrón. Stuff's too small to pre-measure. Let's look at it from this side. Oh, it's spot on that side. We just need to taper to 0 here. Okay, I think we can go with that. This may stick up a little bit more in the middle, but I think that's pretty close. Hoe bag. That's like one of them sack deals at Crystals. Why get one hoe when you get a whole hoe bag? A sack full. Crystal sack full. Actually, you probably would call those what? Thought bags now. That hoe over there. I'd learned that from my daughter. I'm like, what the hell? What is this new generation coming up with shit? I actually think that one's funny. Thought. That hoe over there. As opposed to the one that's right here. Okay. We have a pretty good rendition of what this is going to look like. And we have it kind of encased. Encased and emplaced. So I don't know how this is going to work as a weapon is probably incorrect. A device. But the way you find out is you build something with it and see how it turns out. And it might be one of those things that works well in this type of gameplay and not in another one. But you're using all three of its build slots for it. Which a bus does not have a lot of build slots. Considering how large it is. Well, this one's not oversized. This is like almost like 15 millimeter scale. It's all right. It's a hokey game. Let's do a little bit more of this. All right, that needs to dry a little bit before we can prime that black. And then it'll look a lot better when we prime it black, because at least you don't have the 50 million colors running interference. All right, we'll move this back over here into the bus corner, back into the bus depot. All right, let's remove these things. That's just crappy plastic. All right, let's look at the armor situation here on this. And how the windows. How are we looking with the windows? All right, we need to put this in first, apparently. Okay, so now we've got the whole back closed in. Okay. And the sides look a lot better with that little bit of black on there. But we still need to make this look armored, and it still needs an armored front. So the question is, do I have an armored front already made that I like how it looks for this vehicle? So I don't want something that has a gun protruding through it. So we don't need to do that. We have some of these that have a slot, and I'm fine with that. We just need to be able to center this. And that would probably be okay. It'd probably be okay to just set this on top of it. I'm all right with that. I'd rather that than make one out of cheap styrene. We actually have some details on there. What else do we have that we have? One that has like corrugated metal. I don't want to put a corrugated metal on a Ferrari. That's a bit sacrilegious. Could do a combination of things. Could use one of these like could use one of these that are like armored things and put it off to one side. On top of plastic sheeting. So in other words, you could cover this entire thing in and then put this. That might not be bad at all. But hold that thought. I gotta go to the little boy's room. Be right back. Okay. What's up, Justin? All right, so let's try. Let's leave the sides the way they are, the back the way they are, and let's mess with the front. So we're going to give this thing an armored front. And I think that if we glue this thing on here, you know, I could probably just paint this red as well. We just need to get rid of this windshield wiper. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to remove this windshield wiper that's there. There's no point in covering this thing with plastic just to paint over it. I mean, it just doesn't really, man, might as well just paint over the windshield. What are we doing on the, oh, we need to refill. And then this vision block. Will be over on one side, even with the top of the headliner, so we'd still have that nice little black stripe across it. That would just be flush like that. Is there any reason that I need to make this light removable? No. No, I don't think so. So I can probably glue, and I'm going to use hot glue gun because first of all, it's still on. And it just gives me peace of mind that, let's put a little bit there. Should be enough to hold it in place. And we're going to go underneath here and smush it down. It gives me peace of mind that I can remove it if I need to. Okay, remove all this excess. We're probably going to match the body color on this. And then we're going to super glue this over on this side. You're going to get it going. Got to do some writing for a personal project. All right, man. Well, thanks for stopping by. Better you writing than me. I'd rather just about anything other than write. I'd need to be coached if I was writing. It's not that I suck at writing. It's just I just don't find it enjoyable. Well, maybe I'm not the best, but I'm better than a lot of people. At least I don't have the, you know, I write a lot of emails, but they're kind of short and succinct. Crap. I lost my, tweezers. Okay, so going to be glued right there for the driver. And the rest of the front windshield's going to be in red. And don't really need to focus on the interior too much, because I don't think it's even going to be visible through there. No. But I probably will still give it a little bit of a dry brush. Still leaving it black. Black-like. It's fine with the silver wheels. Now, this big minigun. Let's put a little piece of stick on to see if we like how it looks. I'm thinking we should put it right. And they all look a bit ridiculous. What if we moved it? What if we did put it on the roof, but we put it over towards the passenger side? That might be the place to put it. That might be the place to put it. But regardless, the body of it is going to have to be color matched. All right, so let's move over to the painting side. So let's push all this stuff off. Move this here. Unplug this. Before we unplug this, now let's not mess with the pickup truck yet. This stuff dries in a heartbeat anyways. Man, it's hot. The outside of this gets hot as hell. Like, really hot. Like, I don't know how the hell it didn't melt hot. You know, this is supposed to be armored, so I actually thought about putting some other armored plates in places so that it breaks up the but I'm not going to. It's a little, there's too many curves on this thing. So we're gonna leave it as is. And let's get some reds out here. Let's do what we really enjoy doing. All right, there's super glue on here. I don't want to have that problem. Let's grab, probably going to use the one that's called Scarlet, honestly. This Vermilion. Actually, let's just pull them out here and see which one is going to get us the closest. All right, we're going to need a little bit of black, as always. But not primer black. And little dribble of water, and a brush that's kind of an in-between size like this one is just fine. All right, so I probably should use primer for the front of. You still have the primer that's alive? Yeah, let's use primer for this. this is going to look the part. Now the headlamps, the clear is not really going to work. The clear is not going to look right with the rest of everything else. But I'm going to leave it as is. It'll end up getting a flat coat, and if it looks the part, I may leave it alone. This is ready for prime time. Not my preference to be moving around, but you have to due to varying drying times and things like that. I need something to drink here. Benjamin Christensen, welcome. From Denmark. Right back. From Denmark. About to be very little sunlight there. I mean, places with less sunlight. But I'm not looking forward to the time change here. It's already getting dark way too soon. Okay. And this might need a second coat in some places. That's why we're working on multiple things. You get to a point where you can't go any further on something. You need to have something else to work on, or I really don't like working in little 10-minute sessions all throughout the day. I mean, we're going to get something done. Let's get something done. Okay, we're going to try to color match this blue, which I'm sure we're going to be able to get close around the outside. So it looks like it's part of it. 16 degrees Celsius. I'll have to figure that out. It's like 66. Let's see if I got it right. Oh, 61, you told me. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with a metric system. I don't like temperature. I gotta like do stuff, and I can't put a visualization on the temperature. I can on meters. I prefer meters. Certainly when we're talking about combat distances, meters is the way to go. All right. This thing's probably dry. So let's get our reds out here and see what kind of magic we're gonna do. And this is not a metallic finish, so we don't need to add a little bit of silvering to it. So let's look at flat red. That's a little too red. Of course, I could just use it and add a little bit of orange to it. We'd be good. Let's look at red. Well, there's a problem. I think this is going to be the one that's going to do it. This red here. That's the one. It's got a little bit of orange to it. Oh, what color was it? Oh, the one they called Vermilion. Let's test it. Obviously, we're going to add black to it. And you can hardly tell. You can hardly tell. Perfect. That's what we want. All right, now we're going to mix a little bit of black. Now I got too many reds out here. Okay. And we're going to paint these vertical parts on the door like that, the frames, and this frame across the top. Same thing on this side. We're going to leave that little black headliner on there, but this whole front, we're going to paint it in this color. And the armored plate as well. So we want to look like they took this car and they modified it and they wanted to look uniform. They didn't want to look like a damn junkyard. That's just my own take. A lot of people do like, hey, look at this Gaslands team, and they all look like they came out of like, how are these things gonna like run? You know, but that's just I just don't want to do it that way, that's all. I also don't want teams that, you know, they're all one. These guys are all yellow, these guys are all blue. I'm like, no. I mean, most of these cars have a really interesting paint jobs. especially if you got like sponsors and stuff on them already on them. You know, like not sponsors, but you know, like Castrol and Amoco and things like that. That they've already put the little logos on them. It's nice to go ahead and just use that. Good choice using red. Will go faster. Well, it came in red. So yeah, a lot of the Italian cars are red. A lot of the Italian cars just happen to be red. I think all the Italian cars should be either white, red, or gray. I don't have very many white cars. I personally am a fan of silver cars. All the cars I've personally had have either been silver or black. I like black too, and even more than it gets dirty easy, a scratch shows up like crazy, and you know it's scratches that are just unavoidable, like you know a little rock that's down the highway, like you don't even see it going 120 kilometers or however fast you're going, and ding, you know like nothing you can do about it, you know. So silver hides all that the best. Okay. Now the back, I might actually leave the back in black. I might actually leave it that way. Cue the song, um, just because it gives you a little bit of something different to look at. I think I am. I'm gonna leave that black. Obviously, it'll be weathered, what have you. Let's do the minigun. Where the minigun end up? Here. Okay. Let's get a smaller little piece of this and not smush it out, so we can get all the way around it. We want the body of this minigun to be the same color as the car. And obviously we're going to bring this up also. It's just we need the bottom color of this, and this is the red that we're using. Now what was really interesting is like, how am I going to color match it when it's metallic? We did it. You know, it's basically by the time you're done doing the washes and doing a dry brush on them, you can't tell the difference. I mean, no, it's not exactly the same color, and it wouldn't be. One came from the factory, and one came from the place wherever they put these weapons on the cars. You know. Now the rest of this I'm going to call part of the gun. I mean, there's two bands here that could stand to be red. I'm going to leave them alone. I'm going to leave them in a metal finish at this point. For now, and come back and paint them red if I feel like it. All right, let's bring this up a step. And that's why I like doing this, because I like the results. I don't think there's too many people that enjoy doing something that they suck at. Yes, I can't wait to do this again. I'm terrible at it. I'm the worst. Definitely not one of those people that's like, hey, I built this car. Come up with a name for it. I'm like, I've named it before I start working on it. That's a huge part of the enjoyment of it. I've named it, or my viewers have named it. We've named it. I am going to go with that Nosferatu, by the way. That's pretty. That's pretty. Well, first of all, it says Nosferatu on it. Okay, so I can't just call it, Red Vampire or something like that, because it doesn't. I mean, I could, but let's bring this up a little bit. Good morning, Marcus. You done with breakfast? It's off to a smaller, shorter start today. So this show that I went to, first of all, had very few 1/72nd scale tanks. Second of all, had nothing Japanese. Actually, one guy actually had the Buffalo. Had an Airfix Buffalo that was really, really old. They only had one of them. Just didn't feel like buying it. Wasn't going to work on it anytime soon. I got lots of World War II stuff that I'm going to work on that I already have. That I already had, plus the other 40 or so things that I picked up last show. And like I said, the only reason I went to this thing is I didn't want to wait 53 weeks to go to it. And everybody at my model meeting was like, oh man, this is the best thing. It's the best one to go to. I wasn't impressed. I was not impressed. So I'm not going to go next year. But I did pick up some die-cast cars. So, it wasn't, eight. Eight that, by the way, I didn't see at the other place. Like this little green Ford, this little Focus, I didn't see anybody have this other than one guy that wanted $1 for it. Dogs walked. Okay. Yeah, this little Ford Focus, I didn't see anybody that ever had this thing. I mean, like, look at the actual car, okay? So the real car should look something like this, right? But look at the actual car itself. None of the grill, the lights, none of that is painted in. I mean, the detail's there. There's even an RS logo stuck on the back in 3-dimensional, but it's not painted. So, all that's going to be painted. Got stripes, got sponsors. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start mixing it up as far as, well, these are all mixed up, but I think I'm going to keep that theme going. Like, don't do a bunch of Italian vehicles. Like, I do Italian, and, I did 3 Germans at once because I picked those up, and I didn't have very many to choose from, but, do one of the Vato cars, and then do one from the uh, a redneck mobile, and just mix it up a little bit, because they don't have to play all with each other. They can just be like different personalities. And then you get two or three, maybe you could have a team game. But it's every man for himself, every man or woman for himself, for themselves. And that's it. You have to be a man or a woman. And I'm picking for you. You don't get to choose your driver or your driver's gender. It's already picked for you. And there's only two choices. I want to play. You don't get to be a unicorn in this game. Sorry. We are going to have some players. We are going to have some drivers that play for the other team, and I'm fine with that. But you got to go to the bathroom you were born to go to. Well, the whole point is to have it already designed, right? Because you don't waste any time doing that, and I saw that. We would spend an hour and a half designing the car, an hour. Everybody would ask questions, wondering if people designed it correctly, and everybody ended up having the same stuff, So, like, not all these guns. I mean, this one has a chain gun, but not every one of these has a chain gun. This has a big cannon and nothing else. This has a machine gun, and it's armored, and, and a skill, a cool skill. Hopefully it's pretty cool. The bus has a boombox, and that's it. And 8 guys shooting pistols, probably sideways out of the windows. We got open carry got given to us in Florida like 2 weeks ago. I still haven't seen anybody with it, and I don't expect it. Like, who cares? I mean, if you're in the woods, it's different, but out in an urban environment, like, everybody was like freaking out. Where you need open carry is like New York City. Just stay away from New York City. By the way, I just got a new order in from Chad, including one of Ron's new Stugs. Oh yeah, he's got so much stuff that's just... Ron's stuff is incredible. It really is incredible. Chad's got a few, and this, I'm not knocking him, just a few issues with when you have that 45-degree angled surface on the glacis, that you get some of those horizontal lines. But that's it. He's got no issues with any of his other stuff. The material that he uses is amazing. It's got that flexibility. So when you got that whole side that has all the wheels and tracks together, it almost like flexes a little bit. It's wonderful. It's really, really wonderful stuff. But I've got so much of his stuff still to paint without getting more that, he's probably not going to get an order from me for years. And not because I don't think his stuff is the best thing since sliced bread, because it is. It just, at some point, it's like, more isn't better. Does that make any sense? So, but yeah, Ron's stuff is incredible. Ron's stuff looks better than the real thing. since I'm probably only good for a couple orders a year. Yeah. Well, I can knock out a lot of tanks. I mean, it's not like it takes me a long time. I don't have to cogitate a lot on the tanks. That's the good thing about the tanks, is I can just crank them out. But I'm out of space. I'm out of space. I have no more space to display what I have, and I don't really want to put things in hiding. I want them to be seen. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Putting them in hiding, also, you have to put them in a way that they're not going to damage each other when you move them, and they've got to be inside. I'm not putting things in the garage where, even though my garage is probably the coolest garage I know anybody that has in Florida, because the guy insulated and everything. It's still going to get up into 90 degrees at some point, and we don't want that. Okay, this is now at the same level this other stuff is. So let's go up one more step. Yeah, I didn't use this for a little bit, and I can see that there's all little bits of, I'll call them dust particles, but it's probably lint from our clothes because they're dark. They're dark little stringy things. Here we go. I vacuumed the house the other day, and I was surprised how many dust bunnies are like in corners. And we have no animals. We don't wear shoes in the house. We're clean. We shower every day. It just happens. It's just stuff that happens anyways. There's nothing you can do about it. But at least I'm not grossed out by it. Like, it's just, it's part of this. I guess if you rub this enough, and there'd be these little purple fibers everywhere. If you only wore white, I bet all the fibers would be white. I forget to take a picture of what these things are before they're modified, but you can find them all online. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. So the question is, are we going to go up any further? And I don't think we are at this point. We need to do the black lighting stuff on this. So let's get. I don't know. Does this count as one of Tony's tones? Maybe. Let's make sure we don't have any of these fibrous fuckers here. Fibrous fuckery. It's a good thing I wasn't waiting on a game for the Gaslands guys, because they were supposed to be here about a week ago, and now they're not going to get here until Tuesday or something like that. I mean, I've got ones I could use. They just look like, they're falling apart. They were like, I got them a long time ago. And I haven't used them that much, but whoever 3D printed them didn't do a very good job of them. Not 3D printed, but whoever well, they're not etched. They're just we need some water for sure. All right. Yeah, the modeling show I went to, I think it's like a 3 day weekend. I racked the place like 4 times. I couldn't stand being any more time there. I mean, some of these guys were like a lot more lumbering than even gamers. It's like a model railroad convention. Like me, is really older folks. I don't care that people are old, but they just act old. Like, oh, like you'd be a little happier, man, if you're retired. I don't act my age. They shouldn't either. Lots of little nooks and crannies on here. I don't know if these are lights or anything down here, but we'll repaint them if they need to be. And these parts I just painted, the one thing that's kind of distracting is they're glossy. They're glossy right now. So I'm going to do it first, and we're going to end up adding rust to a Ferrari. That's kind of unusual. It stains. Call them whatever you want it to be. Okay, now gotta wait for that to dry. Is there any other? This is not going to have any additional parts, and neither is the British cars. So I'm going to roll into the well. I may have to paint the Vickers. I could go ahead and do the black lining on the Jaguar. Ooh, let's not forget this. That's pretty important. All right, now we'll go back. Sometimes these vehicles have really thick paint. Seems like it. And this happens to be one that looks like it. It'll look good in the end. Watch accurate? It is. But like I told Mitch the other day, I said, next time you play, I already have 6 other cars he's never seen since the last time we played. So, you know, even if you have 1 or 2 every time you play, you have different cars. That gives you, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. I think we can do better than like 2 cars, unless you're playing, every 2 or 3 days, something like that. Now, I'm doing a black lining around this window. This window may actually be something that I'm actually going to have to put a black line around it and then put, silver around it as well. A metallic color. But whether I do that now or later, it doesn't really matter. This is probably, of all the vehicles that I have, the one that has probably the most boring paint scheme. And I think it'll end up looking fine. Fine in the end. Breakfast time? Okay, man. Go have your breakfast. I mean, that's pretty late for breakfast. I'd get up earlier, just have breakfast earlier. Matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and shut down for this morning. We'll pick this up where we left off. This guy will drive for a little bit. Not that it really needs to. And then, see, that one probably need to do some dry brushing. Probably ready to do the dry brushing on it. All right, folks. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you on the